like leaving a life for good was challenging. Um, because when I stopped, he stopped. So he completely stopped doing his hustles to where now we're both fully and actively in church. By the time we got back in January, we got married February 15th. So now at this point, we're both just working regular jobs. He's not hustling, I'm not hustling, and we're solely dependent on God to be God. So going from a lifestyle where we both making thousands in a day to a couple hundred every 2 weeks or just a few hundred, it was challenging. Like if I could be completely transparent, I'll be a liar if I didn't say I didn't think about it, or I didn't tell him or Thomas who like, hey, you know, that one client where all he ever wanted to do was talk, like I could call him and we could be good and he'll be, nah, we're good. You're never doing that again. You don't ever have to talk to them again. Like we're going to be good no matter what.
Hmm.
And he makes good on his word. So we're good.
Well, hello. Hello, everyone. Today is another episode of Change Your View. And this episode is for you. What do you do when the life you're living is a life that's not for you? You chose this pathway, but it's not the pathway that's for you. You want off this pathway, but it may not be possible. However, you have to make the choice to take a different pathway. Turning from a pathway that is chosen because of trauma that you've turned into a life as a how do I want to say it, as a response to what happened to you. Instead, we have turned that trauma into purpose. So I want you to stay with us today because this conversation is about to change your view. So welcome to Change Your View. And my guest today is none other than Krystle Hood. Krystle, thank you for being here with me.
Hey, Miss Haseena, how are you?
All right. And Krystle is an author, entrepreneur. She's a visionary. She's a woman whose life is a living testimony to what it looks like when God's grace refuses to let you go. She is the author of a new book, and it's From Prostitution to Purpose: The Making of a Woman Who Refused to Break. I love that. A courageous, unflinching account of how she survived one of the darkest chapters a person can walk, and how she walked out of it in purpose and faith and freedom. So, Krystle, let's start from the beginning. Let's set the stage here. So, Krystle, I want you to tell us how you got started in that life. We want to know the young girl before she got into life. Who was that young girl, Krystle?
Before survival, um, Crystal, me, I was happy, very family oriented, typical kid that loved life but loved her family. Loved to make others laugh. I've always been the type of person that if you had an issue, I was going to help you find a solution, no matter what your issue was. Um, you couldn't be down around me because then I took nothing seriously. Um, I always tried to find laughter through pain. So my friends used to be like, I'm serious. Like, this not funny. And I'd be like, well, it's not, but it could be. Or I just always believed in when life throws you lemons, make the sweetest lemonade you could because it's not temporary. I mean, it's not permanent. It's only temporary. No matter what it is, nothing in life is permanent but death. So regardless of what our situation is or what that it was for my friends or my cousins back then, I took nothing seriously because everything was a joke.
So then what changed? What changed with that young woman? How did you get started in the life of living? And I won't say, I know you say it's prostitution, but you weren't on the streets. You had a set of clientele. So, and as I think you told me before, the term you called it was a call girl. So what changed that you got into the life of being a call girl?
Life, um, rapes, molestation, abusive relationships, and essentially hating men as a whole. I once was a woman that felt like or thought all men was the same.
Mm,
Um, and I lost respect for them. So because I knew that I was wanted, um, you had to get me at a price. Everything costs. So because I lost respect for men, the male race, the male species, if you wanted to talk to me, you were gonna pay me. I never believed in doing anything for free once I found out my virginity had a price tag.
mm,
So from there, because it was stolen from me and I wasn't able to give it freely with what I heard about from my friends and how romantic their first time was, or I didn't have that opportunity to do that. So because of it, I didn't know then that it would be considered prostitution. I didn't know then that it would be considered escorting. All I knew was you couldn't touch me. You couldn't talk to me for free because it was sold by someone that I had no knowledge of until years later. So because of it, um, my mentality was if it didn't make money, it doesn't make sense.
So how did you get to understand that what you were doing was prostitution? What did
Conversations, being in the lifestyle with other people, and I got into it. Have you ever heard? Well, you probably have, I'm sure. There was this platform called MySpace,
okay.
and a young woman. Um, I had been talking to her for months, maybe almost a year, and she had been telling me about her life and what she was doing and how I could make money from it. And initially, it started out as just dancing. Um, that's how I got into a throttle. But my first time ever having sex for money was like my junior year of high school. I
Mm,
met a girl, and she was telling me about it. And my parents always kept us dressed well, so it wasn't because I was a bum or lacking anything because I didn't. Um, but she made it sound interesting. And she told me a price, and she said that this guy would like me. And I met the guy, and he did. And she said, he's going to offer you this. And he did. And she said, but your price is going to be this. And it was. And when I gave him my price, after the transaction, he gave me double. And
mm,
after that, I was like, girl, does he give you this? She said, no. He only gave me this. This is what I get every time.
mm,
And when my price was double than what she said and double than what she got, he became a regular client
mm.
in high school.
So that was your pathway to entrance was of someone introduced you to this, and she just told you, and you just said, "Oh wow, I can make that." And you were looking at, like you said initially, no one could talk to you unless they paid for you. So it was natural for you to see that this was just a transaction.
Just a transaction. So growing up, my family would say things like you're fast or you're going to have a baby early. But what they didn't know was at 13, I was raped, right? So from 13 until maybe like 16, I wasn't having sex. I didn't even want to be touched. I didn't even want to be looked at by boys, men, any of that. because I was so livid. Like, I was so angry. I had so many mixed emotions that I couldn't explain. So even like the younger boys in school were like me, I would always jump like, don't touch me.
Hmm.
Because I just didn't want to be touched. So whereas I wasn't able to really explain what happened because I had no words, and I was threatened that if I told what they would do to me or my family or my cousins that they knew from around the way. So it was like I wasn't having sex. And even during the transaction, it was so awkward. It was so awkward. So where I just kept saying, "You're just here for the money. You're just here for the money. Just get the money and go." Like, she gave me the whole rundown of what to do, what to wear, how to act, how to speak. And it was just like, oh, okay. And I nailed it to where the tip was double what I told them. So it was like, okay. And after that, it was just like, you know what? If they want me, this is what they're going to have to do moving forward, because I would never give myself to someone ever.
So it's interesting that you said, so your view of these men, because you didn't like men.
I
So,
didn't. I didn't
so,
like girls either at the time, to be clear. Like, I just didn't want, I didn't see them appealing, attractive, no matter how attractive they were. I felt like I seen the two men that raped me at 13 and everybody. And I wasn't interested in sex. And
okay.
my mom would tell me, like, Krystle, you can't be like that. Like, I would date only what we would call heavy hitters back in the day, big dogs, drug dealers, guys with money. And they would buy me, like, not buy me, but they would buy me things, clothes. It was when jersey dresses were real heavy, and I had every team.
Mm,
And the moment the guy would approach me or even think he's getting close to my pocketbook, I always had an excuse as to why I couldn't.
mm. That's something. So your view on sex back then, listening to you, it was a transaction because of
Yes,
what happened to you.
yes.
Okay. So let's move forward a little bit here because I love what you said in your bios that you are a woman who refused to break. So in the middle of what you were going through, who were you? Who was Krystle then when you were going through that?
Looking back now, I would say I was still lost, trying to find my way, trying to figure it out, but not lost enough to totally let myself go, because I grew up in church, so I knew God. My grandmother and my parents prayed often. So I knew enough about God to know, in spite of, I was never my circumstances.
Mm,
In spite of the hand that I was dealt, I never wanted to be a product of my environment. I never wanted to be um like the other people that I was around that lived that lifestyle flamboyantly, proudly, boldly.
mm.
You may say, well, were you ashamed? Or I was just, I was a reserved escort, which almost kind of seemed impossible in their world. Um,
So
I
people did,
always,
so no one could walk up, no one would have known that you were that because you held yourself in a different kind of, you wasn't flashy, you wasn't bold. It wasn't like you were out there talking about you were just walking
oh no,
path that was just, but you knew what you were doing, but it wasn't to be to flamboyant or flashy. It was just to say, this is what I'm living with right now because of the trauma that I experienced. And this was your way of dealing with it, it sounds like to me, and a way of moving forward in your life at the path that you had chosen at that point.
it was. And if you would have asked me back then why, I would have probably just said because of money.
Okay.
I wouldn't have been able to gather the words or pinpoint that it was purpose. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that I'm not doing this for me. At some point, I'm going to be able to help someone out of this. I wouldn't have been able to talk about survival or restoration or purpose because I didn't know. I
So
just knew that sex sold. I knew that men and women at the time wanted me. And if you wanted me, it was a cost.
so what did you believe and see in yourself back then? You just saw yourself as something to be utilized as long as you got a transaction from them. I mean, what did you see and believe in yourself?
Still believed I was her. Like, even in that lifestyle, I thought so highly of myself.
That's okay.
When you go into the adult entertainment industry or strip clubs, you think that everyone is there because they need money. You think and assume that everyone is there because they have a pimp when that's not even the case for most of the girls. Or
Mm,
you think that everyone have sex for money because they're nymphomaniacs. Still not the case. Some people do it because they are, and they just like to have sex with multiple people with no strings attached. Understood. But then you also have women that came from a background full of trauma. You have women in the lifestyle that is trying to pave a way or pay their way through nursing school, or and they're on their doctorates and they have degrees, and you would never know unless you spoke to them. Everyone isn't there because of trauma. Some people is there because they want to be. Some is there because they have to be because they did have pimps, or
mm,
you just it was different people, and I met a lot of interesting people.
mm.
Um some that to this day we all got out and we live for God now. And we are not ashamed of who we were or what we've done or the choices we've made.
That's good. So
Yeah.
let's move forward because there's a moment. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's soft, quiet, where something
Mm.
shifts, right? Where something shifts. And you have that moment because you're no longer doing what you were doing back then. You're walking a different pathway. What was that moment for you when it shifted?
Mm. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, which
Tell
is
me that.
something my mom always told me I couldn't do.
So tell me how you was 1 foot in because it makes me think about it's like a woman that is living in a abusive relationship and
Mm.
then people always say it's so easy to leave, but it's not easy to leave. And so you'll say, I'm done, I'm through, but then he'll charm you or she'll charm you because men are abused too. I'll never do this again. Give me another chance. And so so that's sound like that's what you're saying that you had that foot in and out because you were. So tell me how it is for you to be charmed to stay in and stay out. So tell me that.
So 1 foot in, 1 foot out for me was I got out, right? Back in 2009, 2008, roughly around there, I got out, I was done. I had a bad dream, real bad. And one of my godmothers that I gained along the way, she's a prophet and she interprets dreams, and I called her about the dream. And everything in the dream she said was happening was actually happening. And she said, it's time to come home. And I came home, got a regular job, lived life, met a guy, and it was good. I wasn't even missing the money then, because he provided. Um,
But let me put a pin in this now because before we move, because you said something here, and I don't mean, but so your perception of men have changed at this point then. Sound like what you're saying, because you met a guy.
it had. This guy was totally different than what I had ever been used to, and this guy isn't my husband,
You say he
but
is
he was different.
you say he is your husband or not your
He
husband?
is not my husband.
Okay, all right.
But he was a good guy, and he showed me different. But then while with him, I guess I still had residue on me. to where my thought process, my behavior had changed, but my thought process hadn't. And so emotionally and intimately, it was hard for me to connect to him to where I wasn't fully honest about what I had done or who I was prior to him. So in our few-year relationship that we had, I meet a couple more girls who is still actively in the lifestyle. So where when we broke up, when him and I, parted ways, he went on to the service and I moved back home with my mom for a second. It was so easy for me to transition back into the life because I wasn't fully committed to being who I guess at that point God was pulling and tugging me to be. I was fighting it so hard. So when I hooked back up with these girls and got back into the lifestyle, I went harder the second time around than I did the first time. Because the first time it was like I was learning the lifestyle. I was learning what it was to be seductive. I was learning what it was to be manipulative. And I had gotten really good at it to where I could talk you out of anything I wanted in a matter of minutes. If you were strong minded, give me an hour. I was still getting what I wanted or needed. So when I got back in the lifestyle, it was harder to get out. But getting back in, I reconnected with some of my old friends who also was in a lifestyle. So now you have me and some of my childhood friends, and we're getting money together, which made it easier for me and it made it safer to where I didn't have to be around a bunch of random people. But in that, one of my friends was connected to a bunch of pastors.
Mm.
And around the time I meet my husband, who at the time was just a friend and then a boyfriend, and now he knows everything and he's telling me I don't need to do it. And I'm like, I know. Because all while the time is Haseena, I still maintained a regular job.
Mm.
So I knew I didn't have to do it. But working a regular 9 to 5 and getting what I'm getting every 2 weeks in hours, it made no sense for me to only do one at the time. And at the time, my husband, he had his little get rich quick schemes, things that he was doing as well. So it was like we were hustling, but we were working too. So the 1 foot in, 1 foot out comes in because we were going to church. I was seeking God, but the money was in that moment getting better and more, and it was getting harder to walk away from. So then I remember going to church with my friend one day, and the Spirit of God was so heavy to where when they did the altar call, I kept saying, I want to get saved, but I'm living this life, and I feel like I'm going to be a walking contradiction. So I was fighting it to where I felt like it was the supernatural experience. And I kept praying, like, God, I know this is not the life you have for me. So I need you to provide in a way that only you can so that I can walk away from it. But it didn't happen overnight. And in service, I was standing there and I was like, oh, she said, I'm not moving. You're in this room. God is calling you higher. And I was bawling and I couldn't fight the feeling of feeling like I'm supposed to go, but I knew that the life that I was living wouldn't allow me, not without conviction, to live the life that I wanted with the money and a life that I knew God was calling me to. So I subconsciously was choosing money over God.
I was gonna say, so how did that feel? Because you were warring inside yourself because
Was,
you were feeding your the flesh
was.
and the monetary and gain versus living a life with God, who says, if you just come to me, I'll provide you with all that you need, but you have to trust me. And I know you're sitting in that seat just on fire. So what caused you to finally jump up out that seat? Because I heard you said the
A
pastor
push,
said
a
a push.
push. I did not walk. I did not walk. It was not me. Like, if you ask anybody, they'll say I walked, but it was a push. I was not going because I was worrying so heavily with myself. I'm like, no. I know better. I know I can't do this and serve him. And in that moment, I got up there, I got saved. I looked to my left, my husband was right there. He got saved.
Oh, he walked down there with you the same day.
We got saved the same day.
That is wonderful. Okay. So what,
Um,
wait a minute. So then describe that. So you guys are both sitting in your seats. Did
I
you?
don't know what made him get saved. And if you ask him to this day, I asked him, "Did you do that just because I did it?" He was like, "No, it was time. It
So he
was
got up.
time."
So when you got up to walk down, he got up
I
too.
don't know what he did. All I know is I looked to my left and he was there. When I was being pushed up there, that was me and my walk with God by
I get that.
myself.
Yeah. But
Didn't
that's
see him to my
amazing.
left or didn't even look behind me to see if he was there. But at some point while we were up there, I looked to my left and he was right there giving his life over to God as well. So I was like, okay.
So then because
God has started, he just started
like I said, because
shifting.
I mean, it's not like you automatically went out the next day because you had clients, you had people, you had that you were serving. So how did you finally tell them, no, I mean, no, I'm not gonna have one foot in and one foot out. I'm gonna be all out. How was you able to finally tell those clients that who got used to seeing Krystle and being with Krystle?
Um, my prayer was I want to live right. I want to make you proud. I don't want to be one of those believers that has one foot in and one foot out. And it was kind of hard at first to walk away. And my prayer was also that God remove anyone that's going to hold me back, that's not kingdom building in this season, that's not kingdom minded, that's not going to help push me or catapult me into who you're calling me to be. I didn't know that me praying that prayer, he would start removing people immediately to where one of
Mm.
my bestest friends who we was getting money with, we were living with at the time, her and I were not seeing eye to eye. We were fighting physically and arguing. But then we made up around the time we got saved. My husband and I got saved. And for whatever reason, she had people in her ear. We come to Chicago because we lived in Indianapolis at the time. So we come to Chicago to visit. Everything's good. When we come back, she packed everything that we had in our at her house in my truck. From that moment on, nothing set well. We prayed like, okay, God, what are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go? We're not trying to go back to Chicago empty-handed. What are we gonna do? I did what I thought I knew to do. So we went to Kentucky, which was another area where, I used to get money at with clients, had a whole clientele lined up. The whole way there, from Indianapolis to Kentucky. It's only a 2 hour drive. I was uneasy, like sick to my stomach. And when we checked in a hotel, I posted my ad per usual, but I remained uneasy. Like I couldn't explain what the feeling was. I just didn't feel like my normal self. I didn't feel like, okay, we about to post this ad. I'm gonna wait on the calls to come. I'm gonna call a couple of my regulars.
So let me just back up and say, let me make sure I'm where you are. You have walked down the aisle, gotten saved, turned your life over,
Nope, wasn't married yet.
but you weren't married. So you this was before you actually
This
walked
was
out.
before. This was
Okay.
before my husband. This was before we got married. This was in January of 2015. January 2015. We get married February 25th. So January 2015, my friend put us out. We go to Kentucky and I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to figure it out. I couldn't do it. Um, Around the time it was this guy called the Craigslist Killer. And he was
Oh, I
like
remember that.
really,
Yeah, I
it was
remember.
like every city I was in, whether it was St. Louis, Indianapolis, he was there. And it was girls not making it out of their appointments. And when I say I don't know what the feeling was, I know that I didn't hear God saying, don't go. I didn't hear God saying, not this time. I just had a feeling. And I couldn't explain the feeling. And I just kept saying, God, I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, I need you to cover me, keep me, and allow me to come from under this. I don't know what it is. And I kept telling my boyfriend at the time, now husband, I said, I don't know, something wrong. He like, so what you want to do? I keep telling you, you just need to. And I'm like, I know, I get it. But we need money right now.
But
Your stuff ain't
but he was
kicking.
telling you to get out anyway. But you
He
was
had been telling me to
okay.
stop.
Okay. So let me back up a minute because we were at the church and he was your husband then when you guys both got saved. But
No,
this
he was my boyfriend then.
okay. So you guys had not gotten saved yet. You just this was before you walked down the aisle together to at the church.
Yeah, we were saved at the time.
Oh,
The
when
time
you
we
went
got to
back.
Kentucky, we
Oh,
got saved in Indianapolis,
so
but we
okay,
weren't married yet.
okay, so that's the part I was missing, trying to get the connect here. So let me just make sure that I am, because I don't want to confuse our listeners either. So you had walked down the aisle. You were in church in Chicago or
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. You went back home to your apartment. The person you were living with had packed your things and you guys had to leave. So then this all happened at the time when you got saved. But then you had to go. You said, well, I have to go back to the life because I got to make money. And you felt that unease in you. You said, now I just walked down that aisle. But I told God I wasn't going to do this anymore. But you said, but I have to do this because I need some money. And that's where the unease was setting in. So am I hearing that right?
Right.
Okay. So then you guys drove to Kentucky and you called up some of you said you posted your information out there to let people know you were in town, but you had this feeling which was really the spirit leading you is what I always say it is. There's a
It
spirit.
was. I didn't know that then, though.
The spirit was telling you,
Don't do it.
now look, didn't you just tell God you were done? And now look at you over here doing this. I mean, that's what the spirit was kind of saying to you. Okay, so now that I'm on the right path, what did you do? Because then you had that Craigslist killing, which was real.
It was so real.
And I'm glad
So real.
that you would. So what happened that made you finally not go out anymore then? Was that
No one came.
no one came?
No one came. That never happened to me. Kentucky was one of the states where my ad would be titled "Back by Popular Demand," and it was always titled by "Back by Popular Demand" because from the time I left Kentucky to go to Wisconsin, St. Louis, or wherever I was, Kentucky clients was calling like, "When you coming back? I just missed you. I'll pay for you to come back. I'll pay double. I'll do this. I'll do that." So it was a "Back by Popular Demand" post and no one came. But the entire time I was relieved no one came. I didn't know what was going to happen. And when we would get rooms, we would always get two rooms. And it'll always be a jointed room so that if my husband needs to, that door was unlocked. The clients would think my door was locked, but it wouldn't be because he needed access to me, right? So when no one came, I just took it as a sign. So I called my godmom, the one that I gained through life. Um, who also would interpret my dreams. And I was telling her because she was very well aware. So she knew what I was doing. And she said, "It's time." No one came because they weren't supposed to. No one came because what could have happened, we wouldn't have you. She said, "I need you to pack your bags and get on the road now." I was on the phone bawling because I felt it. I didn't know what the feeling was, but as she was speaking, I used to always say, "Oh, I got chills." I didn't have chills. I felt the Holy Spirit coming through the phone. And I'm like, okay, it could be that. And my husband and I, we packed up. Well, my boyfriend at the time, we packed up, came back to Chicago.
Let
We
me
got back.
I got to put a pin in somewhere right here for a second because
Go ahead.
you said something about he knew about this. How did he deal with that? You sleeping with another man when he, I mean, how was that okay with him?
I never understood because if it was me, I probably wouldn't have. Um, from day one, initially he didn't know. He just thought I was just dancing. But once he found out, and I only told him because I was hanging with a girl who I felt like she was on some envious, gonna try to tell him. So because I always believed in you will never be able to have one up on me, I'll tell on myself before I allow you to. I just told him. And I thought that, well, I didn't care whether he left or not at that point because it was just like, you're replaceable. Um, but he didn't leave. He didn't judge me. All of the years we've been together, we've had disagreements, we've had arguments. He's never made me feel like ill or can't believe you did that. In fact, it was quite the opposite. He will always tell me, like, we're good. You don't need to do that. You have a regular job. I'm getting money. And he was. But I also was always taught to get your own, work for your own. Never allow someone to give you something and be able to be or be put in a position where they can take it back. So because of it, yeah, you're giving me, yeah, you're providing for me. But any moment you could walk away, and then what will I have if I just solely depended on you? So because of it, I just he tolerated it. And I could be in a room with one person, I'll come out, I'll shower, brush my teeth, and he will love me as if we had been laying there the whole time. Still kissed me, still poured into me, still encouraged me, still told me I was beautiful. Never called me, a whore, or just never disrespected me in a light ever.
Mhm.
Like,
That's a
to
strong
this
man.
day.
That's a very strong man, and I want to. You have found a good one. I mean, that he was able to stay with you through that, and so let's fast forward a little bit now. So you are now out of the life and
Fully.
fully. That was the turning point when you talked to your aunt and she said it's time to come home
My
and
God, mom. Yeah.
God, mom. Thank you for that. And you came back home, and did you not look back? You didn't go back to trying to earn some money when you came back this way to make.
No. Like, leaving the life for good was challenging. Um, because when I stopped, he stopped. So he completely stopped doing his hustles, to where now we're both fully and actively in church. By the time we got back in January, we got married February 15th. So now at this point, we're both just working regular jobs. He's not hustling, I'm not hustling, and we're solely dependent on God to be God. So going from a lifestyle where we both making thousands in a day to a couple hundred every 2 weeks, or just a few hundred, it was challenging. Like, if I could be completely transparent, I'll be a liar if I didn't say I didn't think about it, or I didn't tell him or Thomas, who, like, hey, that one client where all he ever wanted to do was talk, like, I could call him and we could be good, and he'll be, nah, we're good. You're never doing that again. You don't ever have to talk to them again. Like, we're going to be good no matter what.
Mhm.
And he makes good on his word. So we're good.
That's good to know. I mean, because that's a strong man. So let me ask you this now, because I asked your view on sex back then was a transaction when you were doing it. So how has your view changed today based on what you know about God and what you're doing? What is your view about sex now?
I used to think that intimacy was only sex. Now I know that intimacy could be a conversation. Intimacy could be just you rubbing my back and talking to me about how bad or good my day was. Sex now, um, sex now, like, I love my husband, so I'm healed, I'm whole, I have peace that surpasses my own understanding. So sex now with my husband is not something that I have to. It's not transactional. It's not, ugh, don't touch me, or I'm jumping at the touch of me. It's like, now I crave my husband's touch. Now I crave his attention. Um, I crave to just be in his presence, because it's like, I miss you. It's no longer, I feel like I need to do it to get this money, or I need to do it to make this bill. Is God will provide. If I don't have it, God will provide. I don't need to do that. I'm not who I was. My past doesn't define who I am or dictates who I'm becoming. It's
Well,
I'm able to speak from a different place now than trauma.
Well, and I think about when we first initially started this discussion, you never did it for the money. You did it for what happened to you. But then as time progressed in your life, it sounds like you're saying you did it for the money. But
Yeah.
but then you met someone who said you're not alone. So we don't have to do this for the money. Even though he knew what you were doing, he stood by you. And that's commendable. But all of this sounds like to me was God moving you on the path that you're on today. And let's skip forward to that, which
A
is
purpose.
and let's skip forward to purpose, because what is purpose for you today? Explain that to us.
Purpose for me today is being the protector that I deserved as a kid. Purpose is no longer thinking from survival mode. Purpose is restoration for me. Purpose is healing. It is not speaking from a place or not being the person I was to feel like all men are the same. Purpose is loving. Purpose is kind. It's the 9 fruits of the spirit for me. Purpose is knowing that what I went through, it wasn't for me. Because I have spoken to other women that wasn't able to talk about it or wasn't able to move on from it, or even women that's still in that lifestyle that feel like, I know at some point if he did it for you, he could do it for me. No, he can and he will, but you have to welcome it.
Mhm.
So purpose is walking in who I know God is calling me to be.
And so now I remember I asked you at the beginning who was Krystle back then. Who is Krystle today?
Krystle is a wife. She is God fearing. She is a daughter. She's a sister. And I've always been those things, but now I'm an active daughter. I'm an active sister. I'm a stepmom, a dog mom. I'm a cheer coach, a Girls on the Run coach. Krystle now walks in purpose and not trauma. Krystle speaks life and not death. Krystle knows that there's life and death in the power of the tongue. So no matter what my situation is or how hard it is, naturally, because we're natural human beings, right? Um, Sometimes it's easier said than done, but I speak life regardless of what my situation is. Um, Krystle is healed. She's made whole. Um,
So how did you come to terms with that trauma? What did you do to
writing my book.
Mm.
Honestly, the first book, From Prostitution to Purpose, was supposed to be written in 2014. But for so long, I was afraid the title alone was too bold for me. I tried looking up other titles, but God wouldn't let me run from it because I didn't run from the lifestyle. So, um, and I thought I was healed, but my true healing came from writing the book. It did. I thought that I was healed because I was in church. I thought that I was over it because it had happened so long ago. But when writing my book, I healed through my tears. Healed through hearing God and not including what I thought should have went in the book or what I thought I should have said. It came from writing. And honestly, I'm on book 2, so I'm still healing because he's unmasking some things with that book that, like, when you go through things and you have to relive the trauma, you have to remember the trauma. It brings up old feelings. I'll say that. It brings up moments where I'm just like, wow.
Mm.
I didn't remember it like that, or I forgot it. Not realizing that certain trauma could could be so harsh that you forget about it, to where in your mind it didn't happen. But God has a way of making you remember what He wants you to, or what He needs you to in that moment.
So you we spoke a little bit about God and his and your interactions with him and how you were raised in the church and you went to church and you and then how he finally spoke to you loud and clearly to get up. He pushed you out that seat, as you say. And
He
then
did.
and then he helped you in Kentucky where no one came in response to your ad. That was God again. And then your godmother who pushed you to get back home to Chicago. So now, how do you know when God is talking to you? How do you have that clarity and know that you're going the path that he's asking you to go on?
I listen. And then the way He deals with me is, I guess He feels like I'm that kid that is gonna question you, like, wait, what you say? You sure? Like, I do that to him all the time. Like, hey, that's my inner thoughts. I know you ain't told me to do that. I know you didn't tell me to forgive this person after what they did. But he'll say something to me, and then he'll show it to me in a dream, or he'll give it to me in confirmation with a conversation that I'm having, and the person will say almost verbatim what I heard, or verbatim what I thought, and I'm just like, okay, God, you're funny. I see what you're doing here, but okay, I got it. So I just listen, listen.
Okay, I like that. So let's go to Pathways to Purpose. Your book there. Explain to me, who is this book written for? I mean, first of all, because we don't write the book, we write the book as a release for ourselves, but who do you want to pick up this book and read it? Who are you targeting?
Everyone. And I say everyone not because it's like, oh, I just want everybody to buy my book. I mean, I do want everybody to buy my book. Let me be clear.
That's so funny.
Let me be clear. I do want everybody to buy my book, but people often think like prostitution is just girls working a strip, girls working a blade, or people having sex for money. But in writing this book, okay, God revealed to me that prostitution isn't just transactions, sex for money. Prostitution is you staying in a relationship that you know you don't want to be in for convenience, giving this person access to your time, your peace, all in return for them to do something for you, pay your bills, or whatever the case. Or prostitution is the praise and worship leader at church allowing the people of God to use them for their gifts because you want the platform, because you want the mic, because you want to be seen, or you want to be heard for your next record deal, or who knows. Prostitution isn't just someone like me that had transactions for sex. It could be anything that you're doing, or anybody you're staying with for transactions or a purpose. That's
Mm.
not kingdom minded or kingdom building. And to be clear, I never worked the streets. Like, I tried one time.
Yeah, and tell me that. So how did you tried? You tried it one time. What happened?
But them people ran me off that blade. That's what they did.
But you
It's
can't
not.
walk.
It's
You can't walk up there describe
mm,
it to them. You can't walk up there. They said what? Who? What? Like in the Bible, they said Paul I know and Jesus I know, but who
for
are
you.
you? Right?
It wasn't. Listen, when I thought I could link with these certain girls, right, and work, because they was getting it on there, so I thought surely my little cute chocolate tail self could get more money than they. Miss Haseena, listen, my first and one time ever only working what we called the blade. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and my friends at the time was amping me up. Like, yeah, Prime, you got this. Oh, they gonna eat you up on the blade, and you gonna do good. You gonna take all our money, and I'm like, okay. So they telling me what to do, how to spot the cops on the blade, and all of this, and I'm receiving it, and I'm listening. But what they didn't tell me is how to spot it. people that's gonna try to rob you or kill you or any of that. So I meet my first client on the blade, and we go behind like this little Army Reserve building, and it was crazy because in the front of it is where all of the people that served in the service will go. It's like a VA, and in the back of it is like this beautiful garden, but that's where girls like myself will go, with their clients or whatever. So I go and I'm in the car and we're talking, and I'm thinking it's just a regular transaction. Okay, I need my money first. And he goes to give me the money, but instead pulls out a gun and tell me I'm gonna perform what he wants for free. When I say I was so scared, and all I can remember thinking is, God, if you get me out of this, I will never do this again. I am not about to die in this car with this man. So I pretended like I was gonna go and do what he asked. And I go down to, perform fellatio. And while he has the gun pointed at me, I'm reaching in my purse looking for my mace.
Mm.
I find it, I unlock it, and I go like I'm gonna go down. And I come up and I just start macing them and macing them and macing them. I get out the car. Well, I open the door first. I snatch my money because you're giving me my money. I don't care what you was talking about. So I snatch my money and I run out the car and I'm just running down the street through the garden. Somebody help me. He's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. The man, I just hear him yell, "You effing B." This man jumps the curb trying to hit me with the car. I'm running. I jump up on the steps. I hit the main street. He, "If I ever see you again, B, I'm going to kill you." He never saw me again. I left Albuquerque, New Mexico the same night. Cause yeah, this not for me. Y'all blade girls, y'all a different type of breed. To put up with stuff like that,
Mm.
I kept my word on that. Now, I had to be clear with God. I didn't tell you I wasn't going to have sex for money again. I wasn't working the blade again. And I never did it again.
Well, this was before you walked down the aisle, too, right? To turn your life. This was before you
Oh,
became.
yeah, this was way before
I'm
then.
just
My
saying, so,
husband was
so
nowhere in the
right.
picture.
I'm just saying, but that wasn't a wake up call for you yet. Even though that was one, that was a wake up
It
call.
should have been. No, that was a wake up call not to work the blade
No,
again,
that
not
was
to work the strip.
okay, right, right.
I was.
Woo, that was horrifying.
That
Thank you
no,
for sharing
it,
that
it
story.
really was like to the
Yeah.
point. Like I went back to my hotel room and was packing my stuff. Like, girl, y'all are crazy. Y'all do this every day,
That's that look. That's
baby. Let me stick to what I know. This is a different. That wasn't for me. Like it's bad enough you encounter all type of people in that lifestyle, regardless,
mm,
and everybody doesn't have the intention just to come, get their rocks off and leave.
that
You
was
really have crazy people that really don't like you or don't like what you're doing and will try to hurt you, like the Craigslist killer.
yeah.
Um, and I just often thank God that girls that caught a case or have prostitution or escort on their background, I can't relate, or girls that um caught STDs from that lifestyle, AIDS, HIV, can't relate. God really kept me in my mess. Like he really kept me in it. Allowed me to make my own decisions because of course that's not the life he has for me or had for me. But even in it, to come out as a survivor when I know so many people who didn't
Mm,
or who doesn't
yeah.
have a clean bill of health or just anything. It was just I was just reminded that I had a praying grandmother. Like cuz it that lifestyle is not for the weak. You have to be strong. You
Yeah.
have to be quick on your feet. You have to believe in God. You have to stay prayed up
Mm.
because it's dangerous.
It is, and and you have given us such a story here. And let me ask you this final question. You said your story was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to free others. That's their purpose. Speak now to this person who's listening, who feels like this story is broken. It's too broken for them to get to purpose. What do you want them to know?
No matter what your past is, it does not define you. Nothing and no one is too small or too big for God. He's a God of miracles, signs, and wonders. No drug dealing, no prostitution, no escorting, no murderers, no rapists. Because in God's eyes, sin is sin, right? Somebody raping a girl or a boy is no different than what I did. Someone murdering someone is no different than a rapist doing, or someone robbing a bank. It's all sin in God's eyes, right? So because we know that, no sin is too great for God to forgive. He forgives us 77 times, 100 in a day. If he can take me from what I've been through, starting with the rapes, starting with the domestic violence, starting with the lifestyle that I live. Prostitution doesn't even scratch the surface. I sold drugs, I made drugs. If he could take all of that I've done to who I am now, he could do it for anybody. It
Mm.
doesn't define or dictate who you are, or more importantly, who God is calling you to be. We all have a purpose. And I really do believe that nothing that we go through is for us, only for somebody else later down the line that we will encounter to say, I've been through it and here's what I did. It may or may not work for you, but it doesn't define or dictate who you are. No one's past us.
Okay, thank you for
Freedom really does come from God, not man.
thank you for that. So, for anyone who wants to get a copy of your book, it's available on Amazon. Am I correct?
It is
From Prostitution to
a
Purpose.
purpose, yes. You
And
could get it in Kindle, ebook, and of course paperback.
From Prostitution to Purpose.
Yes.
So I thank you, Krystle. I mean, we could be on here for hours because there's so
We
much
can.
to uncover. And
We can.
unfortunately, I don't think our listeners would stay with us, but I might have you back on when your second book is released so we could talk about it more. Because from what I understand, you are delving a little bit more into the trauma, which got you
Yeah.
onto the pathway of the path that you chose. And it starts back with what we originally said with our intro is that sometimes we choose a pathway, but it's not the pathway.
It's
And so
not.
and so God did give you some signs. He tried to wake you up. He gave you a few warnings, but I'm glad he pushed you out that seat and that you got no more callers on that day when you went to Kentucky because you walked that path and that was a promise that you made. So God said, no, you're not going to get on
Yeah.
the path now. So that's a testimony right there. So I thank you for this. This wasn't just a conversation. This was really a sharing of how you took the courage to live through your trauma, write about it, and not allow it to define the person that you are becoming. Instead, you are turning around to be a work of purpose.
Yes.
And that's what it looks like when we don't waste what God has given us.
That's good. That'll preach. That is good.
So I
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Miss Haseena. It was, yeah, it was good. It was good. And I definitely look forward to being back for the parts nobody saw. That's book 2.
You got it.
Yeah.